I always tell my students, if your hands still won't sync up when you play the piano, or if coordination feels impossible no matter how much you practice, then you're probably doing it all wrong. Here's the big problem I see. I see a lot of adults scrambling, trying every trick in the book to fix their hands. They slow it down, they repeat it 100 times, they switch songs, but 9 times out of 10, they're just running faster in the wrong direction. And worse, because they think they're doing the right thing, they double down. Instead of turning back and learning it the right way, they just keep grinding over and over and over. And to make it even worse, I see this paired with really low standards for what progress is supposed to feel like. So I'll hear people say, but I've been practicing every day, but I slowed it down just like the teacher said. And I look at them and go, you're not that guy. Trust me, you're not that guy. You're not actually building coordination, you're just looping confusion. And when it still doesn't work, they throw their hands up and say, I guess I'm not good at piano. Maybe my brain just can't do this. But in my head, I'm just like, you've been bringing a baseball bat to a tennis match. Of course it's not working. So if you want to be the kind of student who finally builds flow, ease, and confidence with both hands, then I want you to stay with me, because I'm going to show you a completely different way to build hand coordination, one that actually works for adult beginners, and how you can start using it today. And if this hits home, if you're tired of grinding and ready to actually play with confidence, I've put together a free training that walks you through the exact coordination building method I use with my students. It's the same step-by-step path that gets them playing full songs with both hands way faster than traditional methods. Just comment free training below and I'll send it to you. Most people think hand coordination is about practicing harder or slowing it down or just sticking with it until their brain somehow catches up. But the truth is, hand coordination isn't something you force. It's something that starts to click when the learning process is set up the right way. Let me put it this way. Imagine you signed up for a dance class, maybe ballroom or swing. They don't just throw you into a complicated routine from day one. First, they teach you the rhythm. Then they walk you through the basic steps slowly, one at a time. And only after you've practiced those do they pair you with a partner and try the full dance. That's how it works, because coordination comes from building one layer at a time. But most piano methods don't do that. They make you play both hands at once while reading notes, counting rhythm, and trying to use the right fingers, all from the very beginning. That's like being handed a dance partner and thrown on stage before you even know the basic steps. So of course it feels hard. So of course your hands freeze up. So of course you think, maybe I'm not musical. But you are. You just need a method that removes the overload and actually builds coordination step by step. If you've ever tried a YouTube tutorial that jumped in with no prep, or a lesson book that made you read and play hands together instantly, or slow practice that still sounds stiff and frustrating, the problem isn't you, it's the approach. Once you change how you learn, coordination starts falling into place. Just like my student Jim, who felt bored and frustrated with traditional piano lessons. Within a few months of using my method, he was playing his favorite Billy Joel songs with both hands, effortlessly and with confidence. Let's talk about the 2 most common paths I see adult piano students go down and why both of them set you up to fail. The YouTube spiral. This is the most common trap I see, and honestly, it's one of the most misleading. You're motivated, you're excited, so you go on YouTube and type in how to play, insert whatever your favorite song is. What pops up? A tutorial video, usually with glowing keys or falling notes. It looks clean, fast, and easy, so you think, perfect, I'll just follow along. But here's the problem. You're not actually learning piano. You're learning how to react to a screen. When you try to follow one of these YouTube tutorials, here's what's actually happening. Your eyes are driving, not your brain. Instead of understanding what you're playing, your brain is on input overload. You're watching colored bars or hand movements and trying to turn that into physical motion in real time. That's reaction-based playing, not real musicianship. And it creates a dependency. You can't play anything unless the video is playing too. Your eyes are doing the work your brain should be doing. Recognizing chord shapes, predicting rhythms, feeling internal timing, and so on. All of that gets skipped. There's no mental chunking or pattern recognition. One of the most important parts of building hand coordination is pattern recognition. You need to see the structure underneath what you're playing, like, oh, these 3 chords repeat, or this hand plays the same rhythm as the other. But in a YouTube tutorial, you don't see patterns. You see a flood of notes, one after another. And because it's coming at you fast, your brain stays in survival mode, not learning mode. You're copying, not processing. Let's say you do manage to get a few measures down by watching. You pause, you rewind, you mimic, you get through the song, kind of. But here's what never happens. You never ask, why this fingering? What is this shape I'm playing? How does the left hand support the right? That deeper processing is what builds true coordination. Without it, you're not training your hands, you're training your short-term memory. So of course, when you come back the next day, it's like your hands forgot everything, because they did. You didn't understand what you played, you just memorized it under pressure. There's zero left hand development. This one is critical. Most beginner tutorials, the left hand is an afterthought. You're so busy chasing the melody or watching the right hand that the left hand becomes inactive. And since you're not building left hand strength, your hands never develop a true partnership. In fact, the right hand starts dominating everything. That imbalance is one of the biggest blocks I see in adult beginners. They can play the melody fine, but the moment the left hand tries to join in, everything falls apart. Slowing it down only makes things worse. At this point, most beginners are told, just slow it down. And that's actually good advice if you actually understand what you're playing. But when you're just mimicking, slowing it down means you're staring longer at confusing movements. You're obsessing over details you don't understand, and you're repeating tension and bad habits. Instead of slowing down the right way, in logical layers, you're crawling through chaos. And guess what? Repeating confusion only cements confusion. This is why this method is so dangerous, because it feels like progress, but it's not. Next is the lesson loop. At first glance, private lessons seem like the smart choice. You've got a teacher, a method book, or weekly time slot. You're doing it right, right? But for many adults, especially beginners, this traditional structure creates what I call the lesson loop. Here's what it looks like. You show up to your 30-minute lesson. Your teacher opens the book. They say, okay, let's look at page 17. What's on page 17? A full piece with hands together, with note breathing, with rhythm, with fingering. Everything all at once. These books were mostly designed for kids. And kids have one big advantage. They've got years ahead of them to go slowly. Adults don't. So here's the problem. You're handed everything, hands together, full notation, rhythms, finger numbers on day 1. There's no breakdown, no separation, no mental buffer. This leads to one thing: cognitive overload. When you're trying to read a brand new language with both hands moving in opposite directions, your brain short circuits. And when your brain short circuits, your coordination never has a chance to develop. Playing hands together isn't just a physical task, it's mental. You need to understand what each hand is doing and why. But when you're forced to read both staves simultaneously, your entire brain is focused on decoding. Not playing, not feeling, not expressing, just deciphering black dots. So instead of feeling a groove or learning patterns, you're thinking, what note is that? Which finger goes there? Why does this sound wrong? That's not music, that's puzzle solving. And puzzles don't teach coordination. Traditional lessons are also structured around completing songs, not building layered skills. So you're told, just practice this piece this week, we'll check it next week. What that does is push you into a loop of memorize, perform, move on. But there's no opportunity to master a specific hand pattern, or strengthen left hand independence, or even play creatively or with freedom. Each week, it's just, what's next in the book? So instead of growing, you're grinding. And that's why adults often feel worse the more they practice. They're not bad at piano. They're just practicing bad setups. It's an outdated model that was designed for slow, long-term growth. Just like the YouTube spiral, the lesson loop leads to a dead end where you feel stuck. And unfortunately, this is why so many people quit piano. Not because they weren't committed, not because they didn't show up, but because they were given a system that was never designed to help them thrive. So what actually works? If the YouTube spiral and the lesson loop are setting you up to fail, what actually gets your hands to sync, flow, and feel like they're working together without the stress? It's this. You need a method that builds your brain and your body together step by step. Not all at once, not with pressure, and not with 17 skills shoved into one song. It's learning hand coordination the same way you'd learn a partner dance, one layer at a time. Learning piano should feel the same way, and inside my program, that's exactly how I teach it. through what I call the song system. S is solidify your chords. Most students try to build coordination on top of chaos, but in the song system, we start with just this. Simple chord shapes. Hands together, but no different motions between your hands. No reading, no rhythm, no melody, just shapes. Why? Because when both hands are doing the same thing, the same motion at the same time, your brain finally gets a break from decision overload. It can stop trying to sync two different things and instead start building trust between your hands. Here's what this does for your brain. Repetition with consistency. When the brain sees the same motion repeated with both hands, it lays stronger motor pathways. That's what creates that flow feeling. Shared motion is shared learning. Unlike in traditional lessons where left hand and right hands are doing totally different things, here the hands are mirroring each other, making it easier for the brain to process. Visual simplicity. You don't have to read a staff. Your eyes look at one chord name. You know what to play. That frees up mental energy for coordination. Physical grounding. When students feel a stable chord under their fingers, not jumping between notes, their muscles begin to remember placement. That's the start of muscle memory. Early success equals dopamine. When you can play a real song on day one with both hands, even simply, your brain rewards you. That's what creates momentum and keeps students coming back. If you'd like a deep dive into how to start learning songs with chords and how my students learn their favorite songs faster, check out my free training. Comment free training below and I'll send it to you. The next step is this. O, optimize your playing with patterns and improv. Now that your hands can play chords together, this is where we start to optimize. We help your hands move in musical ways with purpose and control. And we do that through patterns and improvisation. So here's how that actually works. We give you improv tricks that start simple and get more advanced as you grow. So here's someone like you again with the popular arpeggios, one of the improvisation tricks we give you. We're building real motor skills and musical freedom by isolating each skill and building them in the right order. And let's be honest, you're not here to play scales forever. You want to sound good. You want to sit at the piano and actually feel musical. That's why this phase, optimize, matters so much. Because we don't just help your hands do more. We help you build a musical vocabulary, one tiny, powerful skill at a time. So whether it's a groove in your left hand or a cool riff in your right, your brain starts to learn, oh, I can do this. This is where students start to say, I never thought I'd be able to play like this. And now I can. That's what optimizing does. It builds coordination through real music, not drills. And it makes sure that every pattern teaches something instead of overwhelming you just for the sake of it. From here, we move to the next part of the song system, navigating lead sheets with full confidence. At this point in the song system, you've already built a strong foundation. You can play chords together, you've trained on improv and patterns, and you've learned to layer skills instead of piling them on all at once. Now comes the part that changes everything. This is called a lead sheet, and it's the most practical, enjoyable, and flexible way to learn modern songs on the piano. Here's how we use it in the program. Phase 1, we start simple. The right hand plays the melody, the left hand plays block chords. This is coordination gold. Why? Because your right hand is doing the moving and your left hand is doing one static motion at a time. There's no guessing, there's no frantic note reading. It's all clear, logical, and rooted in skills you've already practiced. It also gives something most methods don't. A quick win that actually sounds like music. Once the student feels solid playing melody and chords, we introduce creative movement in the left hand. We offer students a menu of improvisation tricks and guide them in choosing what fits the song and their current skill level. The result? They're not just mimicking, they're creating. They're making real music with both hands and actually understand what they're doing. And when that clicks, they're ready for the final phase. G is grow into expressive, flexible playing. So now you can play any song you want. You can shape it and add your own style, make it sound how you want it to sound. This is how real musicians play, people like Billy Joel, Elton John, Norah Jones. They're not relying on strict sheet music. They're using chords, lead sheets, improv, and instinct. They've trained their hands to move together naturally, because they've learned the right way. Just like my student John, who loves playing around with all kinds of improvisation with this method of learning.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try.
Let me just say this straight. If your hands haven't been working together at the piano, it's not because you're not musical, it's not because you're too old. And it's definitely not because your brain just can't do this. It's because you've been following the wrong process. You were thrown into chaos from day one, playing both hands before you even understood what you were playing, trying to read notes and play and use the pedal all at once. That's not building skill. But once the foundation is solid, once your hands know where they're going, once it clicks, everything changes. And the piano starts to feel like the thing it was always meant to be, enjoyable. So here's your next step. If you want a deeper dive into this method and the exact way my students start playing their favorite songs fast, just comment free training below and I'll send it your way. And after that, go watch this next. Why piano sheet music is slowing you down. That video will show you a deep dive into the difference between traditional sheet music and the lead sheets I just showed you. And if this video helped you, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.